to The Whole Student, the podcast where we explore practical tools and have meaningful conversations to help college students manage stress, navigate change, and embrace the challenges of student life. So get comfortable and let's talk about how you can create your best college experience. Today, we're going to lean into a conversation that I have with students around advising time, close to graduation, and pretty much at the start of any new semester. Anytime when students are sitting around with a sense of uncertainty around the future, we're going to explore some skills that are rooted in acceptance and commitment therapy to help us stop trying to fight our uncertainty and to make room for curiosity and movement. So all you need for today is a comfortable place to sit. You may want to have a notebook or a piece of paper or writing utensil nearby in case you're someone who likes to jot down ideas or thoughts that come to mind and work through them later. Finally, we're going to discuss ways in which you can shift from overthinking to curiosity in your day-to-day life. I'm not sure when and where you're listening today, but I am currently on the tail end of advising season. And for those of you who have been through that point in the semester, then you know that we're making decisions about classes and majors and career planning. And we're solidifying the next few months of your life. And oftentimes what I encounter is that students either see so many possible options that they could explore, or they're just not sure that any clear paths really lie ahead for them. In either scenario, there's this sense of not knowing that can activate fear and anxiety. And if we're really being honest, even those of you who know where you want to head and have a structured plan can feel the pull of uncertainty around what your semester or year will bring. We're going to explore a new approach to the way that you're sitting with these feelings. Acceptance and commitment therapy encourages us to consider holding uncertainty with curiosity rather than what is usually our natural default, which might be fear. Rather than feeling frozen or overwhelmed with fear, we acknowledge the uncertainty and also acknowledge that this feeling of being on a precipice is a part of existing as a human. And even in this moment, we make a commitment to moving forward in ways that align with our values and our beliefs. So in other words, we don't have to wait until we have every step in our lives figured out and mapped out perfectly. We are capable of taking small steps forward in ways that align with our values, even while we hold uncertainty. And I find that there's a lot of hope in this idea for me. There's freedom to put my energy to use. So I invite you to consider if you might find a sense of hope and movement in this exercise as well. There are a number of resources and ways to approach this type of exercise, and there are many great variations. We're going to walk through the types of questions I tend to ask. Are you in a comfortable position and have a writing space next to you, if that's helpful? Perfect. Let's begin. Take a moment and settle into your comfortable position. So this means that you could be sitting, lying down, or in any comfortable position that feels good for you today. I invite you to soften your gaze or close your eyes, however feels right. To help us settle into our bodies and examine our physical reactions and thoughts more closely, take a nice deep breath in, filling your lungs, and exhale slowly through your mouth, clearing the air and emptying your lungs. Let's inhale again, breathing deeply and filling our lungs. Exhaling slowly and deeply. Allow the exhale to release tension in the inhale to draw in oxygen to nurture you. As you're settling into your body, allow yourself to notice how your body feels. We don't need to change or do anything. Just take inventory of our body. Begin scanning from top or bottom, moving slowly up or down your body. And notice any places where you could be holding tension or stress, and where your body is manifesting your discomfort. Do you tend to carry tension in your shoulders? Maybe your hands, your jaw, your legs, your back. Allow these areas to soften, loosening just a bit and releasing some of the stress that you're holding. Let's be here just for a moment. Shift your attention gently to whatever feels uncertain in your life right now. What might come to mind? For some of you, you're waiting on a graduate school application. Others of you might be unsure if you even want to apply to graduate school. Others of you might be waiting on internships or job applications, difficult conversations with family, ideas about possible majors or specializations. Your concern might be very specific, or it could be more general. The idea that maybe your future broadly is unclear. And maybe you're not entirely sure which direction you want your life to take you. Any of these thoughts that emerge are okay. We can allow them to come to mind, and we don't have to answer those questions or solve those dilemmas right now. For the moment, allow them to just be. Observe them as if you're observing a cloud in the sky or a dust bunny drifting across the floor. As you hold the uncertainty that surfaces, take a moment to observe what thoughts begin to arise. What thoughts come up for you? Sometimes it's easy for us to jump to the worst case scenarios, or to get caught in a cycle of what ifs and what is the best decision to make, or maybe trying to worry your way out of uncertainty or decision making. Take a moment to pause if you find yourself in any of these cycles. Give it a try and see if you can simply observe and notice these thoughts without getting emotionally caught into the loop. You can simply notice the thought and name it. You might find yourself saying, I can see that my brain is busy working to make plans and to consider every possibility. Or I notice that I feel thoughts around not knowing what's next for me. Any of these thoughts are normal. We can allow them to be and just observe that they're happening. Let's take a moment to make a shift back into our bodies. Where do you feel this sense of uncertainty? What parts of your body maybe feel tight or tense, tired or heavy? Maybe you find yourself struggling to breathe, almost like there's a weight on your chest. Maybe your shoulders are carrying your tension, or your stomach feels uneasy. Sometimes even our feet, our hands, our chest feels heavy. And so allow it to soften just a little bit. We don't have to force our bodies to do anything. Simply allow yourself to breathe into these areas and create a gentle awareness of these areas. Just permission to notice. Maybe you feel the way I do at times. Uncertainty and not knowing can prompt a feeling of uneasiness. It can feel unsettling, wrong even. And what if we consider that this experience isn't necessarily dangerous or inherently scary, just unknown to us? It's our body's way of telling us that we're experiencing something new and it wants to prepare us. And we can be grateful for this eagerness to prepare us, and it's okay to feel this discomfort. Nice work. We've examined our thoughts, we've moved into our body. Now we're going to take a moment to imagine stepping back and away from this feeling and uncertainty, almost as if we're observing from the outside. If we could pull these thoughts and feelings and sensations out of our body and look at them from the outside, imagine giving your concerns and your fears a visible shape based on how they feel. Imagine giving them a shape, a visible form, a color, a texture. Try to make it concrete, something you could see that represents all of the uncertainty that you're sitting with. Sometimes I like to think of a shadow. Maybe it's a cloud. Maybe for you it's a huge wave, whatever form it takes. Take a moment to imagine and observe it. Does this form have movement? Does it roll? Is it still? Does it float? We don't need to change it or move it or shrink it. What happens if we just allow it to be there, not trying to do anything to control it? What if we just observe how it moves? This type of exercise is a principle of acceptance and commitment therapy. This is called cognitive diffusion. Cognitive diffusion teaches us how to observe the thoughts that we're having without judging or resisting them, and identifying that they're thoughts, not necessarily truths. So for example, I hear this thought voice aloud often. If I don't figure out what I'm supposed to be, it means that I'm a failure. I don't know if that resonates for you. I feel like I've had this conversation many times. Using cognitive diffusion, we can modify the thought to be, I'm having the thought that I need to choose my path, or I will become a failure. By doing this, we remind ourselves that this is a thought, not a fact. And we have an opportunity to let the thought pass, not become trapped or caught in that thought loop, and give it power to dictate our feelings and our behavior. So consider the thought or the thoughts that come up for you, and identify that they are thoughts. They're passing ideas even. They're not facts and they're not truths. For those of you who have a piece of paper or a notebook, this might be a moment where you want to use your sheet. If you need some time here to jot down some notes or write out thoughts that are floating for you, feel free to do that. Sometimes our thoughts are jumbled or there are too many to hold at once, and you can make some room just by writing them down, so you don't feel like you have to hold all of them at the same time or worry about missing any. Feel free to take a pause here and do that work. But it's curious, isn't it? When we recognize them for what they are, these thoughts hold less power. They invoke less fear, and we can observe them with curiosity. And so what if we didn't try to push away the thoughts or control them, just allowing them to exist at a distance? Just like any other emotion or thought that we have, uncertainty is just as temporary. We can have the experience of uncertainty, but it's not a permanent feeling. It's a passing moment, and eventually it retreats to make space and room for other thoughts and feelings. And in the same way that we can observe weather, snowy days, rainy days, sunny days, your mind has the capacity to hold uncertainty and clarity, fear and peace or curiosity. And we don't have to eliminate one in order to see or experience or feel the other. It's possible to have more than one mood state or a thought at a time. Now that we've made uncertainty something external to us, we also have an opportunity to explore how we engage with it. How do you tend to relate to uncertainty? One of my personal favorites is to avoid it or overthink. Maybe for you, you start to criticize yourself and say things like, I should know what to do by now, or why can't I figure it out? I should have made a decision by now. Or I'm just not going to think about it because it's overwhelming. If I don't make a decision, then I can't fail. The reality is that these thoughts don't solve our problems. They don't really give us clarity or a path forward. What they do is they trap us in loops that make us feel powerless. As a student, it's easy to use a number of strategies to avoid or to make it feel easy to believe these thoughts. As you're listening, are you identifying any strategies that you might use? Maybe something in here that feels familiar? If you are, and you're jotting down notes along the way, you can revisit your writing. Take an extra moment here and list out the ways that you try to cope with uncertainty. Whether you think they're helpful or not, that's okay. Sometimes just knowing what our tendencies are can be helpful to us. For those of us moving forward, what if we go one step further? What if trying to control our thoughts or entirely eliminate the experience of the unknown, we just allow it to exist? And once we allow or acknowledge that uncertainty is floating through our mind, we can say, I can tell that I'm in this space of not knowing. And I can be here for some time without rushing or changing it. Or I don't have all the answers at this very moment, and that can be okay for now. Is there a phrase that you could use that allows you to acknowledge the thought and offers you some grace? Let's spend a bit of time here, imagining letting go, loosening the sense to try to change or control or solve anything, maybe everything. Notice the experience of simply allowing the unknown to be a part of the moment. To notice that uncertainty doesn't mean we can't move forward. We simply acknowledge that it is possible to feel uncertain without allowing it to dictate every decision in our lives. We don't have to know everything or feel entirely ready in order to take the next best step. We are capable of moving with intentionality and take even small steps. And we can do that with uncertainty present. And this brings us to our next skill. What can we control? What power do we have? We have the power to decide how we move through uncertainty. We can allow fear to guide our decisions or root and ground our decisions based on the values that matter most to us. You can choose what matters most to you, and this is one of the core acceptance and commitment therapy values. I invite you to take a moment and reflect on what your core values are. Who do you want to be as a person? Not just what you want to achieve, but what matters to you. I have the privilege of encountering so many students who value growth or curiosity and determination. They value kindness and self-efficacy, care, connection to other people. I have students who are incredibly creative and brave. What values speak to you? This may be another place where you could take a brief detour and make a list. And if you do that, I would encourage you to jot down your list without overthinking or judging. What matters to you? Go ahead and pause here if you want some time to gather your thoughts. Otherwise, we'll keep moving forward. If you have your values in mind, let your thoughts travel to one or two values that feel particularly salient or important to you today. Which values feel particularly important today? And then ask yourself, what is one small step that I am capable of making? A step that is consistent with my values, even without having all of the answers or solutions yet. What is one small thing I can do that pulls me forward, even in my uncertainty? And so maybe if you're someone who values learning and curiosity, you can sign up for a class that's of interest to you, even while you're still figuring out your major. If you value mentorship and guidance, maybe you can reach out to a friend or a loved one, a campus mentor, an advisor, a faculty member, a staff member, someone who supports you, who might be willing to offer you their perspective, something new for you to consider. For those of you who value determination and resilience, how would your experience feel different if you could remind yourself that humans are capable of immense growth in some of the most uncertain places, and that you are capable of emerging differently and growing in ways you can't even yet imagine? And maybe if one of those examples that is aligned with your values could be true or feels feasible, then there's room for hope. I encourage you to imagine centering that value or a couple of your core values in your mind and allowing those to serve as a grounding point and as a compass. Regardless of how unsure or uncertain your future semester or maybe your workplace, your career, your major, your season is, you have a compass that can guide you even in the moments of doubt. And even without knowing where every step will land, you can feel confident that your steps are aligned and consistent with the person that you want to grow to be. I invite you, if any of these steps feel useful, feels like there's room for you to explore, to revisit and practice this exercise as many times as you like. Some days we can uncover new ways of examining our thoughts and our feelings. My hope is that you will notice your thoughts with more curiosity, allowing yourself to be reminded that you are capable of reorienting yourself, even when the end is still to be written. Thanks for spending this time with me on The Whole Student. Remember, you're more than just your grades, your tasks, or the roles that you take on in college. Take care of your whole self, and I'll meet you back here soon.